VP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
It's now time for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Brian Pasquale. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. You can also watch live on the WBVP-WMBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Brian Pasquale.
I had a dream that all people would be created equal. Yes. I had a dream, Ryan. It's a different type of dream than Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. It was an actual dream last night.
You just remember we're on the radio. What's this dream? What's going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know this is a sports show. We're going to get into the Steelers. We got two great deaths. This thing's falling over. I don't know how to. We need technical support at some point. I know I brought that up last week. So maybe my dreams will come true and we'll get this fixed for next week. But
that couldn't have possibly been what your dream was about.
No, that was not my dream. That was not my dream. So I just don't want anything to move because I don't want anything to fall over at the point.
Gotcha.
All right. So my dream was, Ryan, we were doing the show, today's show. This was last night's dream. I don't know if it was late last night, early this morning. Who knows? You know how dreams are. They're kind of sketchy. You remember some of them. So the show was outdoors. And for some reason, we were at my grandmother's house. And the show was on the driveway. But we had like a stage and we were doing this and that. We were doing everything. And the actual guests today, we have Dan Neely and Jay Skapanek on today. And they were the actual guests on the show during the dream. And you were like the star of the dream, Ryan.
Okay.
You were not a good star.
Why was I?
You were
was I trying to get your grandma to give me
the villain? No, my grandmother passed away. She was passed away at this point. But we were at her house. And it was kind of like in her driveway. She has this big driveway, and we were doing the show, and you kind of basically, you ruined the show.
That sounds like me. Okay.
On purpose. And you were just destroying like the guests. You were cutting them off on the telephone. You were cutting my microphone off. And for whatever reason, I was like, you know what, Ryan, I've got to tell Frank that, you ruined the show.
Yeah.
No, you're my buddy. Like the first half of you ruining it, I was like, I'm going to stick up for him. I don't care.
Right.
We'll make up some excuse that this, and then finally I was like, that's it. I got to tell Frank on you. I got to rat you out. And you said, that's okay. They like me better than you. So they're going to keep me anyway.
Wow.
So that was the dream.
I was thinking maybe I got into Grandma's moonshine, maybe something like this.
You might have. That was maybe behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that was just a dream. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to see you. And you got some pretty good guests today, Brian. I can't wait for the show.
We do. At 4:30, we have Skapanek, the famous YouTuber. He's going to talk to us a little bit about Lamar Jackson, the Browns, the Steelers. And then at 5:15, we are going to have Dan Neely, the NFL expert. So, this first 15 minutes, I guess, can we talk about the previous game?
Sure.
And then I think we'll talk to Skapanek for like a half an hour. And I feel like he's going to call in at 4:30, but I'm sure maybe Anonymous Gambler will probably call in. So if you want to call in, now's the time because at 4:30 I'm not going to be able to take calls until 5 o'clock. So you have between now and about 4:15, 4:20 to call in if you have any things you want to talk about. It is 724-843-1888 or 724.
774.
That's what I said. 774-1888. I lost my train of thought there.
I can't wait to hear what Dan has to say because we talked to him before football season and he's just a football genius. He watches every game every week.
Everything he told me about Russell Wilson has come true.
Wow.
To a T. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about before we get into the game that was this past Sunday. Do you know what the Steelers record, and did you have a show today?
I did not.
Okay. I saw Jeff posting that there was going to be one, and then I messaged you. Okay.
Yes.
So here's the situation. Since the invention of the Thursday night football, what is the Steelers' record all time on the road Thursday night?
It's a complete 0.0. They have never won.
They are 0-7 on the road on Thursday nights. Mike Tomlin is 5 of those.
Yes.
So Mike Tomlin is 0-5 on the road on Thursday nights. Does that scare you?
It is. It does scare me, and it's you have to ask yourself why. This is a team that has such a good record on primetime games when it comes to Monday night,
yeah.
Sunday night. Thursday to not have one single road win blows my mind, but I think that all changes this week.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they're so bad. But I do want to, for the next 10 minutes, unless somebody calls in, I do want to talk about this past Sunday's game, because not that I want to reflect, because that's usually like Monday morning, whatever, but I want to know what we did right and what we did wrong so that we don't do the wrong things on Thursday and we do the right things on Thursday. What was your takeaway from the game as far as, let me find this here. I don't even have this stats. Russell Wilson in the red zone, within 10 yards of the end zone, we have like one touchdown.
Yeah.
What is his problem down there?
You know what? That's a really good question. In my mind, automatically, every time this comes up or I see this, it goes back to the Super Bowl against the Patriots when Seattle was able to run the ball the whole way down the field, and Russell Wilson throws the ball to try to score. Interception by New England. It was the end of the game. For some reason, that's where my mind always goes when I think of this situation. I'm not real sure what that is, Brian. I think you're going to see a little bit of a change moving forward through this next 3 weeks, because the defenses that we're going to be facing aren't going to be as good as the Ravens and other teams we faced. I think those kind of things are going to change as time goes on. I don't think it's a problem right now. I just think that the Ravens game is what a Ravens game is. It doesn't surprise me that we scored 6 field goals. It doesn't surprise me that it was an 18-16 game. It doesn't surprise me that guys were throwing punches at each other. It doesn't surprise me. So when you talk about a Ravens game, you basically throw everything out the window. It is the rivalry in pro sports. So to take that game and to try to pick pieces out of what went well, what didn't go well, I don't know if that's really going to stand for the rest of the teams that you play. That was a classic Baltimore-Pittsburgh football game.
Let me ask you a question. Is this rivalry bigger than the Yankees and the Red Sox, and is it bigger than the Celtics and the Lakers?
It's up there with them. It just depends on the time. If those two teams in baseball are good at the same time and they're fighting for the division, yes. I mean, it's right up there with them. If the Lakers and the Celtics are doing what they do like they did back in the day. Yes, it does fit into those categories, but it's not all the time, because sometimes the Lakers are terrible, sometimes the Celtics are great, yada, yada, yada. But to answer the question in short, I do believe it does. It's right up there with them.
I think it's better than them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sit there and watch the Red Sox and Yankees play every Saturday. It's always like every Saturday they have it on. We get this twice a year. If we're lucky, 3 times a year in the playoffs, which we know we usually win.
Football has a pretty good format, and it seems everything seems to work out that way, because you only get these guys twice a year, but you get them twice a year. So that's what makes football so great.
All right, I'm going to break down this game. We have about 7 minutes, so I'm going to break it down very quickly. Justin Fields, why did he slide a yard before the first down on 2nd and 10? And it forced us to have to run another play, which luckily we were able to run out the clock. But why is he that uneducated of where the first down line is? Why is he that? He was in for 2 plays. All he had to do was not mess it up. He had 2 great runs.
Yeah.
But why couldn't you take one more stride or dive forward?
Right.
I still don't think they're going to hit you at that point.
Even if you're worried about getting hit, like you said, take that one more stride. If the guy hits you, then guess what? That's 15 more yards tacked onto the end. I just don't I think it was a case of him not knowing exactly where he was. To say that he's not educated enough, I mean, I didn't see those mistakes. I seen mistakes. I didn't see that particular mistake in the first 6 games of the season, so I'm not that concerned. But yeah, I mean, come on, that was crazy. He slid, a yard and a half too short.
Speaking of mistakes, did we win because of Justin Tucker?
It played a part, absolutely.
Yeah. He usually, I don't recall Justin Tucker ever missing a field goal against the Steelers ever in his career.
Yeah.
And he misses 2 in the first quarter.
And they were, pretty close. I mean, those were totally makeable.
Wide left.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson, did he play? Did anybody see? Because I was hoping they'd throw it to him because I figured it'd go for losses.
My favorite part of this whole thing was I've been seeing Baltimore fans on the internet, on social media, talking about, you know what, we really we added to our offense. We brought in Deontay Johnson. Now we're going to be. I thought this is what puts you over the top, Deontay Johnson. Huh?
6 yards, 3 games. He's on fire. What else here?
But I tell you what, take that touchdown pass away from Mike Williams. Has he really done that much more for us? You know what I mean?
Who? Never heard of the guy. One play. Here's the thing, and I wanted to bring this up last week because he said, you know, I never ran this route before. We never practiced this route. I've never done this. Like, are you an idiot?
Right.
You have been your entire life a wide receiver. You've ran every route imaginable.
Yeah.
That is your only job in life, is to run a route and then complete the catch if it's possible. How have you not ran every single route possible? The 7-yard in, the 10-yard out, whatever it is, you've ran. We never practice. Like, are you an idiot?
Right.
Like, I don't know, a plumber. Like, I don't know. I never set that toilet. Well, it's the same as every other freaking toilet.
Right. No, that's a good point.
All right. Come on. Let's go. All right. Here, Ravens tackles Harris. Okay. First quarter, 3rd and 1 at our own 47. We tried the quarterback sneak off the left guard.
Yeah.
First time it hasn't worked.
All right.
What did Russell Wilson do wrong there? And then on 4th down and 1, Najee gets just stuffed in the backfield. Like, what's going on there?
Again, I think you clump this into it's a Ravens-Steeler game. There's certain things that you would do, and this is a debate that I had with a friend of mine. There's certain things that you do, and there's certain things that you don't do during the Ravens game. I think you keep to the fundamentals because those games generally stay close. Whoever makes more mistakes loses because it's such a close game all the time. I say in my opinion, you don't go for that 4th and 1 in your own, and because you give up. And last week they did it as well.
They were confident. I like the confidence. I do, but it was the 47. It wasn't like the 37.
Let me tell you this. If you're playing the Browns, I feel a little bit more confident. If you're playing the Cardinals, I feel a little bit more confident. In that kind of game where the points are at a premium, I kick that ball away. I think you want to play smart.
I think we beat the Ravens more than we do beat the Browns. Even though obviously it's a much more formidable opponent. Okay, so there was a play where Najee Harris got a 25-yard catch. It was like a screen or whatever, a halfback pass.
Yeah.
And he goes downfield, gets the first down, and spin moves, this, that, the other thing. And I don't know who the safety was that tackles him, but the safety gets up and starts talking trash. And I loved Najee's response. He literally just held the first down sign right in his face. Like, dude, you tackled me 25 yards downfield.
Right.
Okay. Did you stop me from getting the first down? No.
Right.
I just thought it was great. I thought that was a great response by Najee.
Is Najee turning into the back that you hoped that he would be?
Najee's always been the back that I've always thought he was.
Personally,
and I would have given him the $7 million next year, and I would have worked on, and before that contract, I would have worked on something like a 4-year deal. Because you don't want to get into their like early 30s because you never know what happens there. I want to skip over to the TJ Watt thing. Queen, the strip tackle recovery, 10 tackles, he is starting to become what we thought we were getting.
I hope so. And why I say I hope so instead of yes is because I didn't see the Queen that we hoped that we were getting in a lot of games leading up to this. However, in this game where he was mentally set and prepared to play the Ravens, he came out and he was that guy. So it's in there. Whether he's going to be able to, if he's going to pull that out for the last 7 games and into the playoffs, that remains to be seen because, again, there's been many times through the first 8 games prior to this weekend, I think that we didn't see the guy we wanted to see. So it comes down to Patrick. I think if he gets his head right and he prepares, I think he can be that guy every week.
All right, I got a couple more things before we get a break. So Darnell Washington has 2 catches.
Yes.
He's in the open field. He's running straight downfield. And their safety, Washington, has to tackle him twice.
Yeah.
He looked like he did not want to tackle him both times.
Can you blame him?
Jeez, Pete. That coming at you, I'm like, I got to go for his ankle.
He's a train.
What am I going to do?
And I like him. I don't remember if it wasn't this game. It was the last game against Washington where he got the ball on a catch and he started running and he actually got low on the guy that was trying to tackle him.
Yes.
So I thought you want to get into
if you're 6'8" and you can get the limbo contest championship, go for it.
Because you're coming with that leverage, being that big and strong. I would be gone. I would not try to tackle that guy.
All right. you love Renegade.
I do.
So
Only
right after Renegade, I want to say the next play was a 40-yard play by the Ravens. Right after Renegade.
Was there a penalty, I think, that brought it back? Mm-mm. There was a penalty either within the first or second play after Renegade.
The next play after that was the Peyton Wilson INT, which was absolutely fantastic. But the play, it was a 40-yard first down. Like, that song's just stupid. It's a bad song. It's a tear. What is it? Sticks? It's not even like AC/DC. Give me Thunderstruck. Right. Give me something.
And that's what I was going to finish what I was saying when I answered before. I like that song in the situation that we're talking about. I don't listen to Renegade generally. I don't have it on my playlist.
It's like it's all and it's like. But like, why is
if you're at the game and you're 3 or 4 beers deep, I enjoy it a lot. Actually, you got the towel. Everybody else is enjoying it. It's a great time when you're there.
Oh, I don't know, Ryan. I think it's the worst ever. I think it's absolutely the worst ever. All right, listen, we're going to go to break, unfortunately. We're going to be right back. We have lots of Steelers, Browns talk to get into. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Tune in to Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 9 a.m. Frank will talk about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There's also music to get you started for the day. The show is brought to you by Patriot Home Care. So set your radio dial to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. We're streamed live on BeaverCountyRadio.com. So you can listen every morning on Beaver County Radio.
Your home for everything in Beaver County. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, coming to you live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
You know, I've heard people refer to older veteran athletes as being all washed up. Well, quite frankly, that's a rather nice compliment if you ask me. This is the Aquaman of Beaver County, Jim Riggio from the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority. When you hear something like that, you have to consider the source of the water, that is. After all, getting washed up with Beaver Falls Municipal Authority water can't be a bad thing. That's because for over 80 years, we've made it possible for everyone to feel washed up, even if they are not star athletes. Click bfwater.net.
Attention! If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 412-754-7936. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 412-754-7936. That's 412-754-7936.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
All right, welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. I'm here at the same part of his studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. You can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. till noon on YouTube. Search the Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube.
We do got a call, Brian.
We do have a call. I wonder who it is. I wonder if it's some crazy gambler guy. Crazy gambler, you there?
Depressed gambler.
Listen, depressed gambler. On at 5:15, we have Dan Neely. I want to hook you up with him. Get on his X page and check him out because he is up $17,000 this NFL season.
Is that so?
Off of $60. Yeah. The proof, literally, I have the proof. It's not like he makes this up. You could literally go back and read everything and see that he's up $17,000.
Oh, I believe it. We call them units in the gambling industry. I would love to know how much he's betting per unit. But yeah, I'll definitely check him out.
Basically, he told me he was going to bet everything opposite of you, and he's been a winner.
Last year, I'm terrible.
I don't know. It might have been on
I told
Eddie's
you guys
show,
I was going Baltimore. I have to say,
maybe
I looked at myself in the mirror long and hard on Monday.
About 6:30.
And I feel like honestly like a Kamala Harris supporter. I've been so against the Steelers. I don't know what I missed, but is this actually? You look at their receivers. You look at Patrick Queen, who played an amazing game Sunday. I thought Baltimore was trying to dump him, trying to get rid of him, and he had a hell of a game. He made one of the plays of the game.
What's your
the
first
receivers,
name,
everything. Is this actually a really good team and a Super Bowl contender? Are we being for real?
The Baltimore Ravens did everything wrong in that game.
All right.
Between the 3 turnovers, the missed field goals, I don't think the Steelers are as good as we're making them out to be. Yeah, we won 18 to whatever it was, but did the Steelers force them to not make that 2-point conversion, or was that like the most ridiculous 2-point conversion we've seen since the Colts game?
You're gonna think I'm crazy. I had a 2 years old birthday to attend, so I missed the last 5 minutes and 35 seconds of the game.
Well, basically,
imagine how miserable I was watching it on GameCast, watching the 2-point conversion on GameCast.
Yeah, Lamar rolled out to the left, and nobody else rolled out with him except for 6 Steelers. That was their play.
Yeah, I did see the replay now that you say that. But again, Justin Tucker does miss 2 field goals. They beat themselves. But again, they don't score a touchdown, and they win the game again. What is this, the 70s? This is the 70s again.
Right. But
start winning games by...
We had the 3 turnovers as well. That strip interception by Wilson was ridiculous. The strip by Patrick Queen was ridiculous. The strip by Herbig was ridiculous. I don't think it was them being careless with the ball. Those were fantastic plays. Can you count on something like that to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs?
I don't know. The Bills are a strange thing. It's amazing that they're honestly good after they got rid of a few key pieces, and their defense is good too. The Chiefs, again, another breed. Plus, you're also playing the officials and the refs when you play the Chiefs. But I have to say this. What were T.J. Watt's stats, Brian, this game? How did he play?
Okay, so here's what I saw. I saw he got a sack, and his sack, let me tell you, it was what was the sack that what's the guy with the tooth that does the morning show? Strahan got this fake stat against Brett Favre, where Brett Favre just Lamar Jackson just ran out of bounds instead of throwing the ball 2 seconds earlier, just out of bounds, and TJ Watt got awarded some sack. And then after that, I don't recall him doing much of anything.
Did Derrick Henry? Did they run Derrick Henry at TJ Watt, or did TJ Watt hold his own? Because I have to say, Brian, if they have a few more good games, they're starting to get to the meat of the schedule where we would thought they would do terrible. If they start going 4-1 down the stretch, we're gonna have to eat some crow. We're like the Kamala Harris supporters. We're waking up going, how did this happen? How is this possible?
I think the 3 up front have been making up for that whole rush outside by Watt. I to be honest with you, Henry had 3 big runs, and other than that, they really shut him down. But I mean, it wasn't Watt as far as he had he had a really nice tackle in the backfield, but he was unblocked. Granted, he made the play, but nobody blocked him either.
Yeah, that was what shocked me, the fact that Derrick Henry did not run all over them. I thought it was going to be, if you remember the Dallas Cowboys game when Baltimore played Dallas, I thought it was going to be a little bit like that. And it wasn't at all. It wasn't at all.
Okay.
I have to say, hats off to Mike Tomlin. I don't know. He even won using 2 quarterbacks, kind of. He's using 2 quarterbacks.
I have 2 questions for you because I kind of want to move on from last weekend's game because we've got a game tomorrow. But I've got a question here. This microphone stand, what do you do to this that makes it lean to the I can't even breathe on it. That's what I want to know.
Well, let's just say the cameras were off when Trump won.
All right. So moving forward to the Browns, what do the Steelers need to do to correct those mistakes and not lay an egg against a team that they're much better than?
Myles Garrett, what's his situation?
I heard he was going to take Russell Wilson's helmet off and use it as a weapon against him.
This is a letdown game. I would love to know how the Steelers felt on Monday after that big win, physically and mentally.
Right.
Don't let this game get by you. I think the guy from Cleveland, what's his name, Kevin something, I can't remember. I actually think he's not a bad coach. Just good luck getting the Sean Massage Table Watson as your quarterback for 2 years. What am I going to say? Am I going to say I like the Browns and get laughed out of the room again as the Steelers blow them out 38-0?
Yeah, like, is Nick Chubb going to be able to run for 200 yards against them, or is it going to be like a Derrick Henry where, he had a couple big plays, but pretty much you held him in check?
I don't know. It's impossible to tell with this team. You look at the beginning of the year, they were honestly, everyone agreed, consensus, fourth best team in the division. They're going to win the division. They're going to win it by a game or two. It could be already over. It's going to be the Lions and the Steelers in the Super Bowl. How? How could it not be?
The Lions. Okay. Can I give you a prediction?
Yes, please.
Okay. 2028. Gavin Newsom, 203. J.D. Vance, 335. You heard it here first.
I would love to see that. You think it'll be Gavin Newsom?
Oh, 110%. And that's just so stupid. Like, Shapiro would be the much better choice for and to get Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But they're going to go with the guy that's from California that's going to win California anyway. That's how smart they are.
They're geniuses, just like me in picking the NFL, apparently, right? All right.
Anything else before you head off?
No. I'm on Thursday tomorrow. I'm going to take Cleveland just because. Eventually, you flip a coin 500 times. Eventually, it's got to be tails once, right?
All right. I'm going to loosen a couple more screws here, so I think you're going to have a rough day tomorrow.
Oh no! I'm going to fall on the head. All right. Well, you guys have a great day. I can't wait to your two guests. Listen to your two guests.
Yes. All right. Perfect.
Thanks, Joe.
Have a great day, guys.
See you, bud.
Bye.
All right, the anonymous gambler. Apparently, he's down and out. I mean, maybe he's the guy that I gave $5 to at the red light because he lost over the weekend big and he needed to make up for it. So I don't know. Maybe he was out there collecting some money at the corner.
Brian, listen. I think the only chance the Cleveland has to win this game is if Pittsburgh isn't mentally prepared. If they come like they did against Washington, I think if they come like they did against Baltimore, I think the Steelers are going to come out on the right side of this. They just have to go in and they have to focus. It's a short week. Get ready, be prepared, get in and play this football game. Because to be honest with you, I don't think that the Browns have enough weapons to beat a lot of teams in the NFL. On top of being a very good defense that we do have, I don't see a letdown. I'm going to predict this is their first away Thursday night win ever.
Okay, you've heard it. Okay, so if you're tuning in late, the Steelers' lifetime since Thursday Night Football are 0-7 on the road on Thursday nights. Mike Tomlin is 0-5 of that. And Ryan just predicted the first Thursday night win for the Pittsburgh Steelers' lifetime. I just don't know. It's like, how bad did the Browns, did they take off in the second half? Did they get beat that bad that they didn't even play? Versus how beat up are the Steelers from that, rock'em sock'em game against the Ravens?
I think it could go one of two ways as far as the Steelers goes. Are they beat up, or are they riding off a bit of a high? You escape the game virtually with no injuries on your team. You win this game. I think if you play the mindset of it being a momentum, I think that can certainly be an advantage to you.
How many more years do we have playing up in Cleveland? The mistake by the lake. Because obviously they're moving out of their current, and they're moving out of away from the city to build a stadium. Is it indoor?
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that it's
the indoor mistake, not by the lake.
Yeah. Any way you slice it, the old Browns, we beat them up. The new Browns, we beat them up. An old stadium, we beat them up. And you know what? I don't think it'll change in the new stadium.
Do you think right before they start playing in this new stadium that they'll move to like Baltimore or another city again?
It would be funny, but I don't think they'll do it this time. It was pretty devastating. And you know what? Even as Pittsburgh fans, when it did happen back in '96, you felt for them. I mean, you didn't like them. They were your rivals. You hated them, but you felt for them because they love their football just like we do. And to have it stripped from them, that was terrible.
What if they become the St. Louis Browns?
Oh, wow. People in Missouri would like that.
Yeah, the St. Louis Browns, they could have those ugly uniforms. I mean, Jim Brown is the only thing good from Cleveland ever. Bernie Kosar was kind of okay. Like what else? What else they have?
They've had spotty situations. I mean, I remember the Metcalf. Remember Eric Metcalf was really good.
Yeah.
Minifield. They had good players. It was just never at the same time. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Clay Matthews Sr. They had some players.
I really want to adjust my microphone, but I'm kind of scared, Ryan.
Well, we have 2 minutes if you wanted to do that over break.
Listen, what we're going to do is we have Jay Skapanak coming on, Scap Attack, the famous YouTuber. He watches, listen to this, he watches almost as much NFL as Dan Neely.
Wow.
Almost.
You have a lot of insight calling in today.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I set it up as my all-star crew because we have the Thursday night game.
Yes.
Typically, we're like 4 or 5 days out before we have to play football, whether it's Sunday or Monday night. It's Sunday night football. It's Monday night football. But we actually have a game tomorrow. So what we're going to do is on the other side of the break, we are going to talk to Jay Skapanak, Scap Attack. And Ryan, your duty is to have, he's going to be 2 segments. You have to ask him at least 2 questions.
Okay.
So that's what you got to do over the next 2 minutes. While we're on break, you're going to have to come up with 2 questions per segment for Scap Attack.
Okay.
All right, everyone. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the Best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the Best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com.
Make your Christmas holiday special with a visit to Beaver County's Christmas Extravaganza at the Lodge in Brady's Run Park. Over the years, this event has woven its magic, attracting thousands of visitors. This is one of Beaver County's largest Christmas community events. Opening weekend consists of Thanksgiving evening from 5 until 9, Friday, November the 29th, Saturday, November the 30th, and Sunday, December the 1st from noon to 9. Free parking and shuttle services available. Limited handicap parking. Pre-register the kiddos for Breakfast with Santa at bcchristmasextravaganza.com. Tickets are $12. Visit Candy Lane Gift Shop and select a gift for someone special. Hungry? Stop by the North Pole Cafe for a great snack. Stroll the lane through the beautiful decorated trees and wreaths. Vote on your favorite. Make a beautiful memory with a visit to the Christmas Extravaganza with your whole family.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Brian Pasquale.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. We do have a quick call before we get to Scap Attack. Terry, go ahead. What do you have for us, sir?
Hey, I just wanted to comment about people who moan and groan and cry about how the Steelers win a game. At the end of the ball game when there's 3 zeros on that clock, I don't care if the Steelers win 2-0. I don't care if it's 12 field goals. I don't care if it's 500 yards passing. At the end of the ball game, I want the Steelers to win. Because the way we're ever going to get back to the Super Bowl is to win and win and win again and get the best record in the AFC. You hear all these people crying, my never had enough passing yards, or we didn't have enough sacks by Watt come on, man. I couldn't care less about that. I want to win. I want to go to the Super Bowl. And the only way it's going to happen is to win ball games. All these statistics. And then the other thing, briefly, I wanted to share about, well, we can't beat Kansas City and can't beat Buffalo like this. Horse manure. If we have a great enough defense, we've already seen the almighty Patrick Mahomes can be humbled, as can Josh Allen. I'm sick and tired of all the, we can't win because we're not racking up 1,700 yards in 3 games. Like that. It's crazy.
Well, can I play devil's advocate here real quickly?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So I agree with you 110%. Stats don't mean anything. All the numbers don't mean anything. I agree with you 110% there. A win is a win is a win. However, our last 4 playoff games, our defense has been absolute garbage, and that just can't. And I know that was previous. That's not this team, but that can't happen against the better teams in the league in the playoffs, obviously.
Every year's different, brother.
True.
You can't look in the past and say, oh, we did this last year or did this the last 5 years. Look at the defense we have right now. It's unbelievable. We're stopping pretty much everybody. So let's enjoy this team while we got it. They spent the money, let's face it. They went out, they got Patrick Queen. They got all these other guys that are going to make the defense great. And let's look at the bottom line. Who would have ever thought we'd have this kind of record at this time of the year?
I agree.
That's certainly not me.
Hey, we just got to get away with a win tomorrow night one way or another. I appreciate the call. Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you,
points.
Terry.
Okay, see you later.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
one, bud.
All right, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome my favorite YouTuber. No one has better content, voice, or delivery. Let's welcome Scap Attack, Mr. Jay Skapanak. Thanks for joining the show, Jay. Jay, are you there? Oh, we did that great welcome for Jay, and he's not there, Ryan. Do we have Jay? Did we drop him? Did we hang up on him? Can you hear me now? Is the Verizon commercial. So we're getting Jay here on the phone here real quick. Yes. So
Jay.
Terry's point was very good. A win is a win is a win.
Jay.
But you can't beat the good teams playing poorly. And we got Ryan working on the phone here to get Scap Attack on the phone.
Okay, I can hear you.
All right, here we go.
Right now. All right.
All right, Jay, do we have you now?
You've got me. I'm sorry. I could hear you the whole time. That was like a sick joke. I can hear you. You can't hear me. It is. It's like a Verizon call, but not a good one because I have Verizon as my carrier, and hopefully they don't fail me on this connection here.
Did you ever look at the 5G coverage for any, like whether it's AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile? The entire state of West Virginia is just a blank.
Well, luckily I'm not in West Virginia, but I guess I'm not sure how my coverage is looking in this current area that I'm in right now. Hopefully we can get through this call because I've got a lot to say here.
All right. Excellent. Because I've got a lot of questions, and Ryan has some questions for you too. But I do have to go to West Virginia on Friday to pick up my daughter from college. She'll be home for the break. She is attending WVU. So, it's just the northern part of West Virginia. So I think they still have coverage in Morgantown.
Good. I hope you keep coverage because we've got a pretty robust sports time of the year right here. You're going to need total coverage to stay up to date and on point here as we go this weekend. It's a pretty exciting weekend, a pretty exciting time in sports in general right now.
My first question to you is, because I want to reflect a little bit on the Sunday game, and then I want to move forward on to this game tomorrow. My first question is, tell me a little bit about Lamar Jackson, especially against the Steelers.
Brian, I think you know me well enough. I've been on a couple times, so any residual or faithful listeners of yours probably know that I think very, very little of Lamar Jackson. I think the guy is an absolute loser that folds like a lawn chair in any clutch situations, and particularly does not really handle elite defenses very well. The Steelers certainly do have that this year. I must admit I'm pretty impressed with the Steelers to echo and piggyback on some of what your previous callers have been saying. The Steelers defense is the real deal this year. They have in the past kind of owned Lamar Jackson, as we know. And, I think that Lamar Jackson, who's right in the midst of probably his best year by far as a professional, still looks like he is going to be incapable of solving the Steelers' riddle, particularly some of the challenges that the Steelers' defense poses. And Lamar has never been, a very good guy going through progressions on his tree at actually making any kinds of changes throughout the course of a play and, going through a cycle of receivers. So the Steelers did really, they exceeded my expectations this past Sunday. And it looks like, barring a letdown, which we know the Steelers are prone to doing under Mike Tomlin, it looks like the Steelers might actually navigate this division here and come out as the division champion, which I certainly didn't see coming from the beginning of the season. But look, still got one more against Baltimore. So, let's not celebrate too soon, I think, on that front.
Can the Steelers finish better than third in the AFC? Would they finish ahead of, seeding-wise, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills? Is that a possibility?
I mean, they only have 2 losses right now. The Chiefs have 1, the Bills have 2. So, I mean, anything, as Kevin Garnett once famously said in 2008, anything is possible. Ultimately, I still like either the Lions, I like the Bills. Sorry, I've got Lions on my mind because they're the best team in the league by far. But the Bills or the Chiefs probably to lock up that 1 seed. In my opinion, look, just to piggyback, I don't want to rip your callers, but I did just so happen to catch Terry's call that he just made before I joined the show here. And look, the Chiefs, I just do not believe that the Steelers can beat the Chiefs. Ultimately, it's hard for any team to beat the Chiefs because they too have an elite defense. Yes, the Steelers' defense is 8th overall in yards against. The Chiefs are the 5th-ranked defense in yards against. The Steelers, of course, are number 2 in points allowed. The Chiefs are 8 in points allowed. The Chiefs have every bit as good of a defense as the Pittsburgh Steelers have, only they have, one of the top 5 greatest quarterbacks that has ever lived, smack dab in the middle of his prime. As we see, you need to play almost a perfect game to get by them. The Bills played great against Kansas City last week, gave them their first blemish of the season. They were 9-0. They're 9-1 now. I think Mahomes and company, Andy Reid, they know the importance and the value of that number 1 seed, and I think they're going to do everything they have to in order to get it and hold on to it because they know the margin, the separation between them and the field is so narrow. They need every advantage they can get this season. They went on the road last year through the playoffs, but I don't think they can do it this year. I like the Chiefs to be the 1 seed, and I see practically no way in God's green earth that the Pittsburgh Steelers can go into Kansas City in an AFC championship-like setting and win that game.
All right. MVPs, Lamar Jackson, he's probably the biggest fraud that's won 2 MVPs. And I know this won't happen, but is Chris Boswell the league MVP as of right now? I know a kicker can never be considered, but is he?
Well, kickers have won in the past. It's probably been about 50 years since we've seen it. Of course, yes, Lamar Jackson, I agree with you. 2 league MVPs for this guy at this stage of his career is absolutely laughable. We've been through this on previous calls, but the list of guys, Drew Brees never won a league MVP. Dan Marino won MVP. Elway won MVP. Montana 2 MVPs. And Lamar Jackson, by the age of 28, 2 MVPs already. And Brian, he was the leading candidate in Vegas, odds-on favorite money-wise, going into this matchup this past week with the Steelers. I believe Josh Allen has leapt him since then because of course, his big win against the Chiefs. They're 9-2. I think right now, look, we know that it's going to be a quarterback. And in my opinion, it's going to be a battle down the stretch between Josh Allen and Jared Goff, who captains the Lions, who are the best team by a mile in the NFL right now. Boswell is the Steelers MVP. There's no way about that. But league MVP, I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch for me.
All right, Ryan has a question for you.
Hi, Scap. This is Ryan. My question is this. I'm looking at the Ravens schedule. We're talking about Lamar. We're talking about the Ravens. We're talking about the better teams in the AFC. I'm looking down the Ravens schedule. They have the Chargers next, who's ahead of them in the AFC at the moment. They have the Eagles after that, who's 8-2 and head of their division. The Giants, we're going to pass right by them. The Steelers again, a Houston Texans team that is supposed to be better than what they are, and then a finish up against the Browns, who they already lost to, but this time on the road. Scab, with those games left on their schedule, is there any chance that the Baltimore Ravens miss the playoffs?
It is a very tough schedule. I was looking at it just to determine for the MVP race to see, what the Ravens might potentially end with record-wise. Very difficult stretch. Like you said, the Chargers, that's a Monday nighter, I believe, this week.
Yes.
The Chargers they're no joke. They've got a top defense. I believe the Chargers actually are number one above the Steelers in points allowed. I think they're only giving up like 14 points per game right now on average. So another just absolute stingy defense for them this week. The Eagles are somehow, their defense is also elite. They're 8-2. They only have 2 losses as well. I don't really see any way they could drop fully out of the playoff outlook. They do, they've got the 4 losses. I believe Denver right now is the 7th and final seed if the playoffs were to begin today. Denver with, I think, 5 losses. So they are kind of right in that, that jeopardy of potentially dropping below some of these other squads. But I think, look, the Ravens, I think their team is too good to just outright miss the playoffs. But what they could do maybe is fall all the way down to that 7, maybe the 6 or the 7 seed, and then they're going to have a much more difficult first round matchup in that wild card. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, actually, it would be a rematch. I believe it would be Ravens at Steelers if the playoffs began today. But, if they drop below that into the 6 or even the 7, probably they're going to get Buffalo in the first round, which I guess that who would you prefer to play at that point if you're Baltimore? Really 2 tough games for them. But at the end of the year, when things all shake out, I do believe, unfortunately, Baltimore will be in the playoffs.
And then my second question, Scab, is this: you were talking about how it's going to be almost impossible to beat Kansas City at Arrowhead, and I agree 100%. Now, let me ask you this question: having this season that the Steelers are having, you guys on the phone pointed out they've spent money, they went out and got guys. Is that going to make a difference in January when we have to play against Buffalo? Kansas City is a team that, anybody could say, they're undefeated. They have 1 loss. They're going to be tough. But Buffalo is the one that the Steelers have the most problem beating. We've seen that over the past few years in the playoffs. We just get annihilated. Is there any way that we shrunk that margin in this past year if we would have to play Buffalo again?
I don't see it. Same as I don't see it with Kansas City. I think Buffalo kind of snuck up on me. I think I like some of the other, national pundits and really just people around the league. I kind of was thinking that the window had shut on Buffalo going into this year. They lost their 2 top pass catchers, really did nothing to replace either one of them other than a rookie that they drafted. Other than that, it's really just Josh Allen and smoke and mirrors, but that looks to be pretty damn good still. So the Bills still, to me, have proven that they have that next level that they can get to that, in my estimation, the Steelers just cannot. This is ultimately a great defense, but yes, to echo again Terry's call previously that preceded me coming on, there is such a thing of how can you win games? Maybe, yes, don't look at the stats, but how many ways do you have to win games in the postseason? That's what really matters. And the Buffalo Bills just have another level that they can get to because of Josh Allen. He struggled in the playoffs as well, at least from a win-loss standpoint, and predominantly against Patrick Mahomes head-to-head. But look, who hasn't? Josh Allen, to me, is still in the handful of really the 2 or 3 best guys in the NFL at that position. And I just don't think, as good as the Steelers' defense is, that they're going to be able to neutralize him enough that Russell Wilson can go win that game for you, more than likely on the road in Buffalo.
Now, does Buffalo, how far do they drop? Let's just say, and God forbid, you don't want to see guys get hurt, but, Josh Allen is never afraid to take a hit. He'll run down the field, make plays. Let's say he blows his knee this weekend. You have to go Mitch Trubisky the rest of the way into the playoffs. How much of a drop is this team overall? Again, it's a good team, but you take Allen out of that situation. How much of a different team is this in that situation?
A a drastic drop off. That's like driving your car off a cliff. They would not win a game in the playoffs. So that's what has to happen for the Steelers to be able to beat Buffalo. Let's go ahead and knock Josh Allen out somehow for the rest of the year. That's pretty much the only hope, in my estimation, that they have of beating either one of those top two seeds right now.
Thanks, Scap.
All right, we definitely have to go to a little bit of a break here. We're going to be back in a couple minutes with Scap Attack. We're going to talk about the Steelers and the Browns whenever we come back. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Sports? Then tune in every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Brian Pasquale. Brian is loaded with statistics and interesting sports viewpoints. The show can also be seen on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Plus, Brian will be taking your calls as well. That's One Man's Opinion on Sports with Brian Pasquale. Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on Beaver County Radio.
Are you looking for a different kind of morning talk show? One that's in a town hall setting with politics, sports, and much more. Just not in that particular order. Then join Frank Sparks weekday mornings at 6:30 for Driving in the Fast Lane on WBVP.
When you talk about community involvement and safety, the name Fry stands at the forefront in Beaver County. Fry Transportation's mission is to continue to raise the bar as the gold standard in their industry by providing the safest, most reliable, and cost-efficient transportation service in Beaver County through their strong relationships with their communities, best-in-their-class drivers, equipment, and technology. There's nothing more important than the safety of their students, employees, and community members. Fry Transportation, where the quality of their organization is characterized by the makeup of the individual behind the wheel.
There's a reason why the words True Value are in the name. True Value in any purchase or store visit has a lot more to do with your overall satisfaction and experience than just price alone. That's exactly what you'll find at the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save. Expert advice combined with great selection and favorable pricing. It's the perfect time to get your fall projects started today by heading to the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Brian Pasquale.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garris. On the phone, we have Scap Attack Jay. All right, let's just get right into it because we only have got about 8 more minutes, so I want to hear all of your opinions. There's a game tomorrow night. It is on the road in Cleveland, the Mistake by the Lake. The Steelers' lifetime on Thursday nights on the road are 0-7. Mike Tomlin is 0-5. The Browns stink, but how do we get our first win on the road Thursday nights in our history?
Well, look, this game on the surface, you would think, is an absolute lopsided matchup. I mean, the Steelers, quite frankly, they've got one of the best net differentials in the NFL. They're plus 71 right now. That's 6th best in the NFL. And they're playing a 2-8 team in Cleveland, which is minus 86 in differential, which is just sheer ass, to be quite perfectly frank with you. So, I mean, you've got a great team, so you would think, versus a very bad team, so you would think. Yet, not so fast, because Vegas, I think maybe the Sharps might be onto something here. The line right now, Brian, I don't know if you know this, is minus 3.5 right now, which that's a puzzling line to me when I look at it on the surface. 8-2 versus 2-8. And just to give you some comparison on that, this week the 2-8 Giants, who to me are even worse than the Browns. I mean, they're throwing out Tommy DeVito this week, and they're hosting the 4-6 Buccaneers, who haven't exactly been lighting things on fire as of late. But the Bucs are laying 6 in that game. So is the betting public onto something? Is Vegas onto something? Look, this looks like a classic trap game to me. This looks like a classic Mike Tomlin coaching down to the opposition kind of a moment where the Steelers riding high off of this great win. In fact, 2 great wins. They beat 2 really solid teams in back-to-back weeks, being Washington and Baltimore there. And now this to me, smells, it reeks of a Tomlin letdown. So what do the Steelers have to do to get their first win ever on the road on a Thursday night game? Probably just play like they are capable of, and don't throw up all over yourself. Don't show up and underestimate your opponent, which, again, seems to be characteristic of some of these Mike Tomlin kind of games in the past.
All right, everyone. This is Scap Attack, Jay Skapanak. You can catch him on YouTube. He has 54,000 subscribers. He has some of the funniest, hilarious, and greatest takes on NBA players, but he also does NFL as well. Especially the Lamar Jackson thing. I think that's hilarious. He has a Mike Tomlin thing. It's great. But yeah, if you do like the NBA, he also is fantastic on there as well. The Bronny James video as yesterday was great. And then you had Dalton Connect? Is that his first name?
Yes, Dalton Connect. That was today's video.
Yeah, I watched that one on the way here. Listen, this kid can shoot lights out. I think if he just gets a chance, it's going to be great. So we'll get into the NBA here right at the tail end of this. But one more thing I want to ask you about the Browns and the Steelers. Nick Chubb, Jameson Winston. Can two of those guys, can they put it together a game and just beat the Steelers?
Well, Jameis, look, the Browns they were dreadful early on. I believe, I don't even know. I think I heard that some of the Cleveland Browns upper crust was actually soliciting and looking for women out there to accuse their Deshaun Watson, their alleged franchise quarterback, of more sexual misconduct early in the season. He was that bad. They wanted any excuse to get this guy off the field. They couldn't because of how much money they're still committed to him. And thankfully for them, Watson ruptured his Achilles, which ushered in the Jameis Winston era here for the rest of this season. And look, they've been dangerous at times. We've seen Jameis Winston is kind of boom or bust. He's going to give you an A or give you an F. They were absolutely appalling the last 2 weeks. They got blown to pieces last week, eviscerated by the Saints. But if you go back just 2 weeks ago, he was fantastic, and they beat the Ravens. I mean, he had like 335 yards and 3 touchdowns. He outdueled Lamar Jackson, and they beat the Ravens. So really, anything is possible with James Winston. Who knows? Like I said, this is a short week. It's on the road. It's against a divisional opponent. And this is kind of a risky, a scary little kind of a trap game for them.
All right. I want to switch gears here real quick because I do want to talk a little NBA because the NBA season has just started. The Los Angeles Lakers, I believe, what are they, in third place in the West? We just had a game last night. The Cleveland Cavaliers were 15-0. They lost 117-120 to the Celtics. Real quick, give me your rundown on the Lakers. LeBron James, Bronny James, Dalton Connect, Anthony Davis, whatever you got for us.
Yeah, the Lakers, look, they've got a great roster this year. LeBron James is still, while I hate him, he's a complete fraud. He chokes and melts down time in and time out in the playoffs. Really, to me, his career is typified by his playoff chokes. But what he's doing at nearly the age of 40 still, probably a fringe top 13 player still overall. Incredible kind of whatever you want to call it, longevity, maybe a little steroid usage. Who knows? I'm just speculating there. But with him being still top 15, you've got Anthony Davis, a viable top 5 player right now in the world. This Dalton Connect kid is averaging 24 points per game on 70% shooting nearly for the last 4 games. They've got Austin Reeves contributing 18 points per game as well, having a career year. So this is a good roster, but LeBron typically always has good rosters around him. He always finds a way to flub it in the end. And for whatever reason, this defense is not very good, despite the fact they're anchored by Anthony Davis, who's one of the best defenders in the NBA. They're only the 24th ranked defense. So I just don't think they have anywhere near enough to get into and win an NBA championship this year. And Brian, real quick, LeBron James has not won an NBA championship since, it was like that 2020 strike-shortened season. So it's been a good number of years. Not quite as long as Mike Tomlin's playoff drought, though, in Pittsburgh right now.
Very, very true. So the West is pretty loaded. There's about 5 or 6 teams that have a chance to come out of there. I know you like Oklahoma City, but in the East, the Cavs and the Celtics, is that pretty much it? Are those the only two contenders?
Oh, yeah, the East is brutal. It's absolutely putrid, abysmal. It's hard to watch, really, from a night-in, night-out basis. It's really just a two-horse race. I mean, we can just go ahead and cancel the first 2 rounds of the Eastern Conference playoffs and just slide right into Cavs-Celtics, I think. That is going to be – it's one of those two. You can absolutely put a lock on that one.
All right. And finally, tell me about your prediction for the NBA Finals. I believe you have, the Thunder in them?
Yeah, I have the Thunder. Look, they've got a lot of injuries right now. Chet Holmgren, who was having a tremendous season to start the year, he broke his hip. So he's out for a minimum of 2 months. Which is like a crushing injury for them. They signed Isaiah Hartenstein away from New York to essentially back up Chet Holmgren. They were probably going to play at the same time throughout the course of the season. He's still out with a broken hand. So the Thunder right now are basically playing 5 guards every night right now. But I still like ultimately by the end of the year, if Chet Holmgren is able to come back with no residual injury things lingering from that broken hip, I still think that the Thunder will be able to clear the Western Conference. And in the East, I really thought it would be a cakewalk for Boston. But Cleveland looks like the real deal. I was waiting to see what they did last night. They do lose, but that game was at Boston, and they only lost by 3. Darius Garland, the Cavaliers' second-best player, was abysmal in that game, and they still were in it all the way. I kind of am starting to teeter a bit on my Celtics pick. I think Cleveland has a chance, but at the end of the day, best of 7, I still think Boston has a bit too much talent. Yeah, I like Thunder and Boston in the finals.
All right. Unfortunately, we got to let you go. I appreciate all your time, Jay. That is Scap Attack. Make sure you head on over to YouTube and like and subscribe and check out all of his content. There is nobody better on YouTube than Jay Scap Attack.
Thank you, Brian. My pleasure, as always, being here with you.
All right. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. We got to go to a quick break. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
This is Mitch Carver from Carver Construction. Playing a great football game takes teamwork, great leaders, and great individuals. As a former high school football coach myself, I know what it takes to win. I apply these same qualities to Carver Construction in New Brighton. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. We've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. I'm behind every job we do, so I can guarantee you that every time you deal with us, you win. Call us or visit us at our website at carverconstructionpa.com.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Want the ultimate cigar experience? Fat Boy Cigars Premium Tobacco Shop and Smoking Lounge is located off of 376 in Center Township. Fat Boys Cigars offers all your cigar needs with an assortment of some of the finest cigars, including small batch boutique cigars and over 21 aromatic pipe tobacco blends and accessories. Stop and see their luxurious lounge accommodations. Book them for your next event. Visit their social media page for a list of event dates and times. Welcome to the Fat Boys world, Beaver County.
Beaver County Radio, your hometown radio station. You're listening live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, proud to call Beaver County home.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now, back to One Man's Opinion with Brian Pasquale.
All right, welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. Appreciate all of you just getting off of work and joining us. I am here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. You can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. till noon on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. If you'd like to give us a call, hurry up. because we've got Dan Neely coming on at 5:15. I'm not going to be taking calls for about a half hour. You've got the next 10 minutes to give me a call, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888 if you have a question for Ryan or myself. So we had Scap Attack on. We talked about the Ravens. We talked about the Browns. We talked about the Steelers. We talked about the Chiefs. We talked about the Bills. Like, is that kind of like the four things that are going on right now? The Steelers versus those four teams. We just played the Ravens. We're going to play them again here in a couple weeks. We got the Browns coming up tomorrow. Likely, if you want to go anywhere in the playoffs, you're going to have to beat the Bills or Chiefs. Probably on the road. Is that the gist?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, as we speak, that's the way it looks. But you know what? We have a few things going in our favor, Brian. We have a lot of Ohio teams left on the schedule. Sure, if you
God, I love that. Ben was like 1,000,000 versus them.
Right. So, I mean, if you listened to Scap last segment, you know, he talked a lot about the trap game, the potential, and I agree 100%. Anytime that you play a team that's, you know, 2-8 when you're 8-2, if you're the Steelers, we always have that potential to play down to the level of competition. That always scares me. But again, on the other hand, just general football knowledge, it is good to have 4 Ohio teams left on your schedule when you have 7 games left. The other 3 games, I think, all are going to be tough. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So you want to win as many of these Ohio games as possible because you may drop 1 or 2, you know, during that 3-game stretch against those 3 better teams, Brian. So yes, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bills, the Ravens, and Chiefs right now in the AFC. Steelers control their own destiny. Keep winning these Ohio games, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, if the Steelers win out, they have 2 losses, and they have all the tiebreakers versus the Bills and the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
And they would be in first place. But let's just take it one step at a time. Scap Attack did call it a potential Mike Tomlin trap game. I don't think you can have a divisional trap game. You know, if we were playing like the Cardinals or you know, the Jaguars or somebody, when it's a divisional game, it's a divisional game. Like, I think it's going to be tough no matter what. I don't find it as a trap, even though we should beat them by 10 or more.
It really depends on what side of the road you're looking from. I agree with that 100%, but I also understand the debate issue where, you know, the New England Patriots, and they were good for 2 decades. You ran into that game against the Jets when the Jets had 3 wins where the Jets would win. I still think that falls under a trap game, but also, again, the AFC North is a different beast. I got to admit, you watch AFC North football and then you watch everybody else, there's a difference in it. And I do believe that any given week, the Browns can beat the Ravens. It happened. I believe that the Bengals are going to be able to beat the Browns. I believe that any of this can happen. So by saying that, Brian, I do think that we certainly can fall into that if we allow it.
Did you ever watch the Big East back in the 80s?
I love the Big East.
Right.
Yeah.
Pitt joined it. There was St. John's. There was Syracuse. There was Georgetown.
Yeah.
They gave you 6 fouls because it was that rough. You got an extra time to just hack somebody, right?
Right.
It was like, it was just brutal. And then they had to go to the NCAA tournament. And then, well, now you only have 5 fouls. And then I would watch like the ACC, and you'd watch North Carolina versus Duke. And it was like real, very, you know, finesse, you know, oh, they shoot and they score. And then is that like the AFC North is the Big East from the 80s where it's just like grind it out, beat each other up, and then you watch like the AFC West and it's like this high-flying offense and you're like, it's 2 totally different games.
It really is. I was thinking that this past weekend when I was watching the Raven game, Brian, I thought to myself, geez, oh man, if this was a Chargers-Broncos 18-16, you know, you're probably bored out of your mind when that game was over. But being that it was the Steelers, being that it was the Ravens, being that it was the AFC North, I tell you what, I was exhausted after that Steeler-Raven game. It was plenty physical. Again, these guys were, you know, throwing punches at each other. I don't know if they were punches, but, you know, they were pushing and they were getting to that point. I just think that the AFC North has its own feel, and that's never changed. That's never changed. Go back to the Oilers. Go back to the old Browns. Go back to the Jaguars for that period of time they were in it. It was always hard, tough, physical football.
So there's 5 lakes in the United States / Canada. And a lot of time, what people don't understand around the nation is that wherever you are and it snows, I don't care if you're in the mountains, it snows differently just southeast of those lakes because you just get all the snow from the lakes. Snow is supposed to come in Thursday and Friday. Are we going to have a snow game, our first snow game of the year?
Please don't say that. You know what? You never know. Tomorrow night it gets around evening hours. I don't know what what it looks like up there with the forecast, but you know, if you're in Cleveland, you have as good a chance as anybody to get that snow off the lake.
Right. I mean, we played the Bills last year in the playoffs. We had to wait like 2 days so that they could shovel all the snow. I mean, that's the difference between the, you know, the mountains, but the lake effect with the snow. So I don't know if we're going to have a snow game. If we have a snow game, I mean, I always think bad weather helps out the worst team a little bit because, you don't want to play the greatest show on turf.
Right.
In a dome. You want to play them when it's raining and you want to slow them down a little bit.
That's the thing. There's a potential for mistake, and you want to take advantage of that if you're not the better team. And the thing is, if you're the team that's not better, you run into issues anyway, so you want to kind of even the playing field out by having the other team have to deal with some issues as well, I think.
The one thing I want to say about the Steelers, and this is like when I say one thing, I really mean two. There's two things that are different about this defense and special teams. Typically, when we've had good defenses in the past, we don't give up a lot of points, we don't give up a lot of yards. We're getting turnovers.
Yes.
We are getting, and not just like that interception when it could be like considered a long punt.
Right.
I think Russell Wilson threw the deep ball the one time on third down and whatever it was, and it was basically a punt. Like that to me, that's not even a turnover.
Right.
But when you have Derrick Henry early in the first quarter, you get the strip fumble.
Brian, he didn't fumble for 538 snaps prior to that.
I did not know that.
538.
Did you watch all of them or did you look that up?
I looked it up.
And then you've got that crazy Peyton Wilson. Like, I don't even know how he stripped it. Like, that was a fantastic pass, a fantastic catch, and somehow we came away with. Do we keep that up? Because you can't count on getting 3 turnovers every game.
The thing is, we've asked ourselves, is this going to be something that the defense is going to be able to continue to do? Look back at the beginning of the season when we were really able to score 18 points against Atlanta or 13 points against Denver or whatever the situation was. This defense always found ways, Brian, to get it done. Say what you will. I have my opinions as well. I think, a couple of the guys may be a little old, but they have gotten the job done to this point. Again, you mentioned earlier, they lost 2 games. One was a 3-point loss to Dallas where they scored on the last play of the game, and then a 3-point loss to Indianapolis. Maybe, just maybe, this Pittsburgh Steelers team isn't that bad.
Here's my problem with the defense. And nobody's perfect. The defense can't be perfect. So I'm just nitpicking here. So don't yell at me, everyone. But at the end of the first quarter and at the end of the game, they let up touchdown drives.
Yeah.
And that seems to be their MO. 3 minutes left to go in the first half. You've shut them down, and then all of a sudden, do we change our philosophy on defense and get a little looser? Or is the other team just making more plays?
You know what? It could be a few things. I think that, one thing I've noticed was Mike Tomlin's adjustments this year are a lot better. I know whenever they come out after halftime, things certainly look better for the Steelers than they did going in. I do know that the third quarter has been very strong for the Steelers this season. Brian, to answer your question, I'm not real sure. I just do know that this defense is doing enough to get it done. And, hopefully these quarterbacks will find ways to score more points down the stretch and in the playoffs when we need them. But as of right now, this defense looks legit, and I think that we're going to continue doing the same.
Is it the best defense in football, or is the Chiefs better, or is there another team out there that's better?
I know that the Chargers are really good, which we beat this team, but they are the only team in the AFC. I'm not sure overall in the NFL. I believe in the NFL as well, but in the AFC, they're the only team that's let up less points than the Steelers to this point. They let up a decent amount this past weekend, which shrunk that margin a little bit. But the Chargers got a really good defense. You have a new coach in Harbaugh that came down from Michigan. He wants to win. He wins.
Do you think he's cheating?
Well, you know what? Whether he's cheating or whether he's not, he wins.
All the Penn State guys are saying yes.
Yeah. Because you figure, Brian, last time he was in the league, he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. That team hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 1995.
Who was his quarterback?
Prior to that, Colin Kaepernick. And then also,
I brought that up on purpose.
And then also he won there. That team hadn't been to the Super Bowl since 95. He took that team to the Super Bowl in 2012. He goes to Michigan. They win a national championship. He comes down to the Chargers. This team is sitting there at 7-3 with a pretty good defense. So I wouldn't count the Chargers out at all. I mean, I think that's a pretty good team he has.
Do you remember the pass that he threw in 1996?
That was January 14, 1996.
It was in the right side of the end zone.
Yes, I do remember the pass.
The Hail Mary.
That was my first memory of us going to the Super Bowl. I was still very young in the late 80s or the late 70s into the 80s.
But that was 96, right? It was the 95 team, but it was 1996.
You're right. It was January 14th, 1996.
Super Bowl 30 we went to.
Yes. And we won that game 20-16. If Harbaugh would have landed that, they would have went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Sorry, Harbaugh. Sorry.
Yeah.
So before we have Dan Neely on, We're probably going to get into the X's and O's of the game. Can the Browns just beat us? If we bring our A game, is there any way the Browns can beat us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that listen, again, there's just certain things that happen through the course of a game that could turn the momentum. Let's say the Russell Wilson comes out and he throws 2 early interceptions when we're in the Brown zone. We're moving the ball. He throws an interception. We're not able to get points on that drive. The next drive, we move the ball, and Russell Wilson throws an interception in the end zone. We're not able to get those points. I think a game like that could certainly backfire on us, where Cleveland could take advantage of the little things, and we. Again, it's mental. It's, I think, being prepared, being disciplined, and hopefully Coach Tomlin can get this team prepared for tomorrow night.
A quick question before we go here to break real quick. It won't be a long break, I promise. But why didn't Darnell Washington try for that catch in the end zone?
I'm not real sure, Brian.
Did he think it was like thrown to somebody behind him, or did he think it was too overthrown? Like, he didn't even try, and then he turned around and was like, oh, crap, I should have jumped for that.
Yeah, you might have forgot that he was 13 feet tall, and he could have probably got it.
One-handed.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm impressed with him so far. He's still a young guy. Once he gets that confidence, when he was at Georgia, he was big on the blocking. Once he develops into an NFL player, I think that he's going to be a tough guy to bring down.
Yeah, he takes one step backwards, and he's like the power forward that I just feed the ball, and those guys would have to foul him to get around him to have a shot at it. I mean, there's no way he doesn't get a penalty or have a very good chance of bringing that down.
He falls in that category, Brian, of one of them guys that just doesn't know how good he could be.
Yeah, maybe.
Once he realizes it, I think we'll be okay.
Listen, Darnell, I'm going to call you after the show, and I'll give you a pep talk. All right, everyone. When we come back, we're going to have Dan Neely on. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
At Geneva College, your academic experience will prepare you with exceptional expertise in your chosen field. But what you'll learn is so much more than just that. Integrating faith and learning, you'll grow to see God's purpose and calling in your life's work. You'll be challenged to imagine how the world around you could be different and what your part might be in making that difference. You were made to live courageously. Visit geneva.edu today.
Football season is here, and East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Save is your tailgate headquarters. With all the food and beverages you need to make your tailgates and game day parties the best in town. Fire up the grill with their top quality meats, delicious burgers, hot dogs, and chicken wings. Get your cheese and meat platters, dips, and all your game day snacks. Check out their wide variety of wines and the beer cave. Don't miss out on amazing weekly specials and save money at the pump with every dollar you spend. Stop by your Shop and Save at the Tuska Plaza or East Rochester today for everything you need this football season.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
There's a reason why the words True Value are in the name. True Value in any purchase or store visit has a lot more to do with your overall satisfaction and experience than just price alone. That's exactly what you'll find at the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save. Expert advice combined with great selection and favorable pricing. It's the perfect time to get your fall project started today by heading to the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now, back to One Man's Opinion with Brian Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. You can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. till noon on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Also, make sure you get over to my YouTube account, One Man's Opinion on Sports. Make sure you click the subscribe, hit the notifications, and check out all my live stuff, all my videos. But it is my pleasure, my absolute pleasure. This is The only thing missing is Jumpin' Jim Frazier from this lineup, and I think we're going to have him on next week, Ryan. But it is my pleasure now to introduce our Bills insider, NFL expert, our fantasy and gambling guru, the Dancing Destroyer, the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Fisco, the Prince of Punch, the Master of Disaster, the one, the only, Dan, the man, Neely.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to the show, Dan. Dan, I've got a real quick question. I know you asked me what we were going to be talking about today, and I want to change things up here real quick on you. I hate to do like a quick 180.
It's going to be soap operas, Dan. Hope you know soap operas.
But what we're going to talk about this segment and next segment is the IPL T20, the Indian Premier League cricket. Are you ready and prepared for that? All right.
Do you remember watching cricket with Bhaskar some?
Yes. So we lived with this dude right after college, Bhaskar Yoshi. Bhaskar was from Nepal, and he went to college with us, and he was a good friend. And for whatever reason, we made him like Japanese real quick because we would always have him say bonsai. Anyway, yeah. Bhaskar. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the NFL here. We're going to specifically talk about maybe real quick the Steelers and the Ravens game that just happened. We're going to talk about the Steelers and the Browns game tomorrow. I also want to talk a lot about the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs because I believe, all this regular season stuff is just, I guess they're just setting themselves up to get seeded in the playoff. I mean, it's pretty guaranteed that the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Steelers are going to be somewhere in the playoffs, right, Dan?
Oh, I'd say so. I mean, if they can win with Russell Wilson, they're definitely making the playoffs.
Yes, I definitely want to get into a lot of Russell Wilson for you. Can you give me a recap here? How did the Steelers, did they win on Sunday, or did the Ravens beat themselves?
Well, that's a kind of a loaded question because that's how the Steelers win, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way they win.
I mean, it's like yes. The answer is yes. The Steelers won, just how they always do, by the other team beating themselves.
Do you think some of that's forced, or do you think half of that's forced?
I think it's probably just good coaching. I think maybe myself and a lot of people don't really give Tomlin credit. But, the Steelers typically aren't making game-altering mistakes, and they go through these games without screwing it up. It seems like week in and week out, and that's what they're so good at, and that's kind of what I think as a Steeler fan you might come to hope for every game is let's just let the other team blow it and not let us blow it, and they're really good at it, and I respect it.
All right, before we get into more Steelers, I have a real quick question for you, Dan. I have to go to pick up my daughter on Friday from WVU, and it is supposed to snow here on Thursday and Friday. Now, you're from Bradford, Pennsylvania, which it snows way more than it does down here. You're in Orlando now. What's the weather like down there real quick for all the Pittsburgh area people?
Well, I'm sitting on the lanai with mesh shorts and a tank top on right now. And
all right. Girls, settle down. Quit picturing Dan with his tank top on.
Yeah, just look at my face.
All right. Talk to me about Russell Wilson, because you sent me an interesting fact, not only on the Steelers' record on the road on Thursday nights, but also Russell Wilson inside the 10. Why don't you go into detail exactly what Russell Wilson does and how he plays in the, let's say, the inside the 30-yard line?
Well, I think Russell Wilson does a fantastic job of not, making a bad play in the red zone. And I like to say there's a few things that are guaranteed in life, and nothing is really more guaranteed than a Russell Wilson-led field goal drive. The guy will not leave points on the board. He does a great job of not turning the ball over down there. He's super safe. I like to think, and maybe this is just me being a little bit of a hater, but I like to think that at least 2 of the touchdowns that he has thrown were absolute throwaways. One to Calvin Austin. That ball was not intended in any way, shape, or form to be completed, but it was. And he almost did the exact same thing 2 weeks ago, right?
With Williams, yeah.
And you know, he did it in Denver, and it frustrated me watching him play because here he is, you know, kind of getting accolades for really not even trying to complete the ball. Like Cortland Sutton, I think, had 10 touchdowns his last year starting in Denver, and I want to say 7 of them were absolutely throwaways that had no intention whatsoever of being completed, but somehow he just puts it in a spot where if a guy makes an amazing play on it, it can be completed, and no one else can ruin it. So no one's going to knock it down. No one's going to pick it. Chances are it's going to be safe. You're going to get the field goal, and then you might get lucky and have it completed. And his luck rate on these is extraordinarily high. Like, compared to someone like Tom Brady, he would do the same thing all the time, and he would keep the defense honest. He would make that safe throw, and it would never get completed. It would hit the ground every time. And Tom Brady made his living in between the hashes, which is much different than Russell Wilson. When Tom Brady threw that play, it was just like Wilson. It was a safe play to not have the drive ruined on. But Wilson has like a 4-leaf clover up his butt or something. This guy can, like, he just gets so lucky on these plays, and I'm starting to think that it's not just luck. He's good at it. It's something he's always been good at. He's been doing it forever. If you look at Tyler Lockett's career highlights, there is probably 25 touchdowns that were thrown just like that, the same type of touchdown that Austin caught, right, where that ball was just a rainbow, and he put it up in the air, and it was catchable, and they just so happened to be able to run underneath it and come down with it. And, you know, he's really good at getting that field goal on the board, and it seems like his touchdowns kind of happen by accident, don't you think?
Well, I did see, and I think what you're alluding to is he kind of uses the sidelines, the back of the end zone, the side of the end zone as his helper, where he puts the ball in a position where if your receiver doesn't catch it, the defense has no shot at it. Is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm not trying to downplay his accuracy or anything. I'm just saying that it's an extremely low-risk play, an extremely low-risk throw. It's like, hey, we're going to take the field goal here. Let's not blow it. Oh, my goodness, he caught that?
Well, is it like okay, now you're a Buffalo Bills fan. Is it kind of the opposite of Josh Allen, where he takes those chances deep over the middle with maybe a safety in the area?
No, I don't think it's fair to compare the two quarterbacks. They play a much different style.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was saying the opposites.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that, though. I wouldn't say Allen's phenomenal at threading in tight window throws downfield. I'd like to see Allen maybe do a little bit more of what Russell Wilson does, where he just kind of puts that ball out to where only one guy can get it. I think that would be good for Allen to pick a little bit of that up in his game. You know, the thing about Josh is he likes to see it open first, and he has the arm talent to allow that to happen. And there's not a lot of guys in the league that can do that, you know. Most guys really have to throw with anticipation. And, you know, if you're going to prolong the play or extend the play beyond, let's just say, 3 seconds, you really have to have some arm talent. You really have to have. So Josh Allen, what Josh Allen leads the NFL in since he's been drafted is big-time throws. And this is a stat PFF tracks. He has about twice as many big-time throws as the next quarterback since 2018. He's not only the best quarterback in the league at it, he's more than double the best quarterback in the league at it. And what a big-time throw means, by their standards is a tight window throw that most quarterbacks can't make, or a perfectly timed throw that would have only been there when he threw it perfectly, or putting the ball in a spot where only the guy could catch it and nothing bad could happen. And Russell Wilson is really good at one type of that big-time throw. He's really good at putting that ball in a spot where only his guy can get it and not have a negative play happen from it. I really think it's starting to grow on me a little bit watching him play. It was kind of like maddening to me in Denver. I really didn't want to watch him play another snap, really. I felt like it was punishment to have to watch Russell Wilson take sacks, get checked down over and over again, and throw safe balls that he gets lucky with. But he's good at it. And I think what he needed was to be on the team that's like the Seahawks. You know, the Seahawks, let's not forget how good their defense was. Well, they were called the Legion of Boom or something, right? I mean, when he was winning all those games, he was on a similar team as he's on now in Pittsburgh, where they're able to keep the opponent below 20 points week in and week out, and maybe get a defensive score, or maybe get set up by a short field enough times to where you're kind of getting a free 6-7 points every game because your defense is kind of putting you in an easy position, right? Maybe the Steelers' defense is probably accounting for 6 points a game this year. They're just so good, and you know, it really works. Really, they match up well with the Browns. The Browns lead the NFL in sacks given up. They give up 4.6 sacks per game, which is absolutely absurd. Like, that's on pace for numbers that only Russell Wilson and Justin Fields get sacked. You know? But that being said, this is a good matchup for Pittsburgh if they have, you know, some health coming into this week on their D-line. The Browns really can't seem to protect the quarterback this year for anything, and I think that's going to be where this game is won by Pittsburgh. I think that 5-6 sacks is within the realm of possibility. The Steelers are probably the best team at getting sacks that the Browns have faced this year. So, you know, that stat, 4.6 a game, is maybe a little skewed. If they played the Steelers every week, it might be like 7, right? So there's that. You know, that's something that's sticking out to me.
Well, you know, at that point, Dan, we do have to go to a break. I know Ryan has a question for you whenever we come back. So, Dan, can you hang on for like 2 minutes and we'll be back from break?
Of course.
All right, everyone. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Brighton is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearm store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
Looking for home services? Call Patriot Home Care in Beaver Falls. Their staff provides company, conversation, and companionship to all patients, ensuring medications are taken on time, participating in fun community activities, personal care, meal prep, and light household work are all services provided by Patriot Home Care, all thanks to the hardworking and selfless team members. Call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or stop in Patriot Home Care, 1225 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls. Make your dream of a college degree a reality at Community College of Beaver County. CCBC offers 10 pathways to success, including health sciences, criminal justice, industrial technology, business, and more. Start at CCBC and finish your career or get transfer ready, all at a realistic cost. Enroll today, ccbc.edu.
If you like stuffing, this is your favorite time of the year. This is Cindy Haladio from Friendly Federal Credit Union. I like stuffing too, especially when it comes to stuffing your wallet with cash. Forget the fancy Thanksgiving recipes. I suggest a visit to Friendly Federal Credit Union. Apply for a holiday loan today to stuff your pocketbook before holiday shopping. Based on credit approval, Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now, back to One Man's Opinion with Brian Pasquale.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Hey. Ryan has a question for Dan the Man Neely. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I had this question, and then Dan actually, he went in and he answered the question before I even asked it, to be honest with you. My question was this, Dan, is this the best case scenario for Russell Wilson at this point in his career to be with a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers? I know that you mentioned, and again, this is kind of where I was coming from. It's a very similar style to what the Seattle Seahawks did when they were successful in Seattle with Russell. Is this the best case scenario for him at this point in his career to be playing where he could do what he does and it can be extremely effective? Or is there somewhere else you could see that would be better fit for Russell? I think that this is the best place for him at this point.
Can I add to that question?
Absolutely.
And what does that mean for next season?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I totally agree with you. I do think that this is the best situation for Russell Wilson. But that being said, I don't know if it's the best situation for the Steelers as well.
Right.
Russell Wilson, I think, can be the guy that Mike Tomlin needs. And I think he's doing a good job of protecting the ball. I think he's got, one pick maybe?
Two, I believe. One was like a punt, and then the other one was where our tight end this last week didn't jump in the end zone, and it was very unlike Russell Wilson, where he took a chance and just threw it up to our 6'8" tight end, and he didn't even jump, and there was an interception.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, no, I think this is a good situation for Russell Wilson. I think it was a good situation for Justin Fields, just the same. I think that the reality is, the Steelers are one of very, very few teams in the league that does not need elite quarterback play to make the playoffs. And there's just not a lot of teams that are built that way. And I can't even name three more, I don't think, in the whole NFL that I think could get away with making the playoffs with Russell Wilson. That being said, Russell Wilson there is no chance whatsoever Fields signs there next year. I don't know what your guys' temperature's at on the show. I don't know if you guys all think that Fields is going to sit behind Wilson and learn, and then he's going to sign the contract in Pittsburgh next year and be good. Like, they made their bed, they're sleeping in it. Russell Wilson's the quarterback moving forward, and Justin Fields is not. He's not going to be back next year. He's signing to another team for $30 million plus, maybe $40 million, depending on what happens. And I think Russell Wilson's going to do the exact same thing in Pittsburgh. I think he's going to sign probably like a 2 or 3 year deal, and he's going to probably average somewhere between $30 and $40 million. And I think that if you're a Steeler fan and you're on the fence with ordering a Russell Wilson jersey and you like him, order it. He's going to be there. He's the guy. He's going to be there next year.
Dan, I ordered 2 jerseys with you. What 2 jerseys did I order with you?
You ordered Zach Frazier from WVU.
Yes, I ordered one for myself and one for my daughter, so my daughter could wear a Steelers shirt to the WVU games.
It's good. It's good. I like that. There's some interesting things going on here with this game. One thing that sticks out to me is Jameis Winston's playing pretty good football. If you want to compare what each quarterback's done, Russell Wilson's completing 60% of his passes. Winston's completing 62%. Winston's a little better, at least as a starter. Wilson's averaging 235 yards passing a game. Winston's averaging 321. Wilson has 7 total touchdowns in 4 games, including his rushing touchdown. Winston has 6 in his 3, plus he has 1 more in like a quarter that he mopped up with Watson, so they got the same amount of touchdowns. Wilson's QBR is 43.0. Jameis Winston's QBR is 63.6, and that's a lot better, not just a little bit better. The QBR, the league leader in QBR is like 75. Like, QBR is not like rating. It doesn't get to 110. Like, Josh Allen's leading the NFL in QBR, and it's like 78.6. It might be a different quarterback now. I haven't checked this week. But Jameis Winston's way outplaying Russell Wilson. And if you ask me, I think he'd be a better fit in Pittsburgh next year. Honestly, I think that... I
said that a few years ago. I thought they should have brought him in a few years ago.
You know, the question the Steelers have to ask themselves, in my opinion, from a GM standpoint, is do we even want to spend $30 million plus on a QB?
No.
If we can get by, if we can be 8-2 with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who really nobody else wanted, why would they spend $30 or $40 million on a quarterback? Why wouldn't they just say, okay, well, Jameis Winston's probably signed here for $8 million, and why don't we just run a season out here with him and draft a guy and see if we can't get a guy developing? And why do we have to spend the kind of money that these guys are going to be asking for?
Yeah, and pick up 4 quality players instead of that extra money on that one position.
You know, some linemen would be a good idea. I know you got a lot invested through the draft, but, you know, you got some very poor line play going on there. So I think that, you know, to me, I would be a little disappointed if the Steelers, as a Steelers fan, if they spent big money on one of these 2 guys, or Sam Darnold for that matter. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that are going to be a realistic option. So I really do believe, though, that Russell Wilson is...
I think any free agent quarterback's going to be like 20-some million that's decent. So, like you said, unless it's like that $8 million steal, then I think you do have to go with like a $30 million guy.
You know, I'm sure you probably already mentioned this on the show, but the Steelers are 0-7 away on Thursday night since Thursday night football started. Tomlin's 0-5 as the Steelers coach on away games on Thursday night. 3 of these losses are at Cleveland. And my question is this Cleveland's Super Bowl? Is this the biggest game on their whole year? At home on a nationally televised game with a quarterback that's come in and played better than their starter? You know, that's a interesting question, and I think the answer is yes. I think this is Cleveland's, you know, this is their Super Bowl. They got some young, hungry players playing well for them. They got a wide receiver that's come out of nowhere, and he's playing fantastic. They got Jerry Jeudy playing his best football of his career. They got David Njoku playing the best football of his career, or at least as good as he was at the end of last year, which was phenomenal. They got Nick Chubb back. They got Wyatt Teller back. Some of their linemen are coming back that really they were really hurting without. The Browns are going to be fired up, and I woke up thinking for some weird reason that this was a trap game for the Steelers with a big emotional win last week in Baltimore, and then a short week to prepare, and I just can't help but be scared to bet the Steelers money line, even though I do think there's a really good chance the Steelers are going to win. But you know, my X page, NFL DFS picks, I am giving a lot of betting advice on there, and so far this year, I've turned $460 in parlay entries into $17,662.54, and my gut's telling me to bet the Browns with points. And I didn't look and see if it's like Cleveland +5, and the Steelers money line would be something like -300. So instead of betting the Steelers money line, which I think most people are going to do, why don't you take the Cleveland plus whatever points it takes to get to -300? So it's going to be something like Cleveland plus 10.5 for the exact same odds as the Steelers on the money line. So the Steelers can still win, and you can still win the bet. So if you're in Pittsburgh and you're wanting to bet this game and you're worried about a letdown, you could still win the bet, and the Steelers could still win if you have Cleveland plus 9.5. I think that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to recommend people do, and that's what I'm going to do in my parlay. And, I think that one thing that you were asking about, is Russell Wilson a good fit there? One of the reasons he's a good fit there is because he really needs a George Pickens. That's the type of receiver that he really thrives with. And I was telling you guys before, when I was on the show a couple times ago, that the Steelers were always looking for another receiver. And Cooper Kupp is not the type of receiver that Russell Wilson is going to succeed with. He needs a second George Pickens. He needs that guy that he can throw that beautiful, high, catchable deep ball to that'll come down with it. And I think that that's a good fit there. And if they could just get an improvement over Van Jefferson and get another guy that's in that realm of jump ball, sideline guy, the tough catch type of player, I think the Steelers could be really good with Russell Wilson. I think that maybe this team, if they want to stay with Wilson and they want to give him that $100 million deal, that maybe $100 million 3-year deal, which would be a bargain right now for a starting quarterback, if they can get him to accept a deal like that, the very first thing I would do as GM is try to bring in T. Higgins. Try to bring in a rookie wide receiver that's built like Brian Thomas Jr. And not worry about a guy that they drafted this year from Michigan.
Roman Wilson.
He's not the type of guy that's going to thrive with Russell Wilson. He's the type of guy that operates in between the hashes.
Yeah, with like a Purdy or somebody.
Yeah, like do you guys feel like not really throwing the ball between the hashes is an issue? It doesn't seem to be an issue.
Well, I don't know. We scored 18 points off of 6 field goals, so there's a lot of issues, I think, on offense.
Yeah, there's a lot to this is going to be a fun game to watch, guys. This is going to be a real. It's probably the stadium's going to be half Steeler fans.
Oh yeah,
or more. This is a heated rivalry. These teams hate each other's guts. Nick Chubb has played historically some of his better games versus the Steelers. Even when the Steelers are only giving up 90 yards a game rushing on the season, Nick Chubb still seems to be that guy that has the good game versus them, and he's looking better. One thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is, what do you guys think about Najee Harris's future in Pittsburgh? Is he going to be re-signed there? What do each of you guys think about that?
I hope so. I don't know though. I think that was so dumb to not pick up $7 million. Well, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing when you're shelling out. What's T.J. Watt making? Like $28 million a year. Cam Hayward's making what?
A lot of money.
Too much money.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Russell Wilson's making $40 million this year. I know we're only paying him $1 million, but what's $7 million for a guy that can get you 20 carries a game and only get better as the game and season goes on?
And also, Brian, to kind of go along with what you're saying, is, excuse me, Najee Harris, I mean, say what you will, but he's never until this season really had ideal situation running the ball. The offensive line the past few years has been porous at best. Of course, as Dan said, we've been investing in that. But you know what? If you don't have a good passing game, you can't open up the run with the pass. And a lot of things have to happen in order to have a good running game. And the fact that he was able to put up 1,000 yards in his first 3 seasons, and he's having a pretty darn good year this year, I kind of agree with you, Brian. I wish that they would have went forth and paid that $7 million, made that agreement, kept him around another year, because he is turning out to be a pretty good NFL running back.
Well, Dan, unfortunately, we have to let you go. I know you always probably have 10 times the material as time we have allotted for you, but we do have to go break. We're about 4 minutes past our break, so I do have to get going, bud.
That's fine. I only had 9 pages of notes here, and I did get through some of them.
All right, Dan. Well, we'll have you on next time. And everybody go check out Dan Neely. It is NFL DFS Picks on X. Check him out there. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with you on YouTube. So maybe this Sunday we'll do a gambling show.
Yes, 10 a.m. Sunday. Since the Steelers don't play, I'm going to do a show with Dan on YouTube. So check out One Man's Opinion and NFL DFS Picks on YouTube.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right,
thanks
Dan.
for having me on, guys. I love coming on. Anytime you guys would like to have me on, it's a yes. So,
all right, whenever the Steelers play the Bills in the AFC Championship game, we're definitely going to have you on.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep, I'll talk to you guys soon.
We'll see.
All right, take care, Dan. All right, everyone, we're going to wind this thing down here when we come back from a break. WBVP 99.3 FM, 12:30 a.m. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
I've heard people refer to older veteran athletes as being all washed up. Well, quite frankly, that's a rather nice compliment if you ask me. This is the Aquaman of Beaver County, Jim Riggio from the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority. And to hear something like that, you have to consider the source of the water, that is. After all, getting washed up with Beaver Falls Municipal Authority water can't be a bad thing. That's because for over 80 years, we've made it possible for everyone to feel washed up, even if they are not star athletes. Click bfwater.net.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
If your group or organization wants to look like a winner, upgrade your public message, signs, banners, vehicle wraps, and lettering, and other branding platforms with a makeover from Signs Made Fast. Wherever there are people, you need a sign, and it needs to look good. An old, faded, outdated logo or weathered sign on the front of your business damages your good reputation. Turn it around today. Create the perception of a winner. Visit signsmadefast.us or call 724-774-8267.
When you talk about community involvement and safety, the name Fry stands at the forefront in Beaver County. Fry Transportation's mission is to continue to raise the bar as the gold standard in their industry by providing the safest, most reliable, and cost-efficient transportation service in Beaver County through their strong relationships with their communities, best-in-their-class drivers, equipment, and technology. There's nothing more important than the safety of their students, employees, and community members. Fry Transportation, where the quality of their organization is characterized by the makeup of the individual behind the wheel.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Brian Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Brian Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. If you have a question, hurry up. You got about a minute or two to give us a call, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Make sure you check out Ryan on the Two Dumb Yinzers. He is on every Monday through Friday with Mike Mueller from 11 a.m. till noon on YouTube. They talk Steelers this time of year, so make sure you check them out every Monday through Friday, the Two Dumb Yinzers. Also, make sure you go over to One Man's Opinion on Sports. That's my YouTube page for my content, my lives. Check it out. Hopefully, if we can figure this out, we're going to be posting these shows on my YouTube page as well. Check out Jay Skapanak, Skapatak over on YouTube. He has some of the best NBA and NFL coverage on there. And Dan Neely, check him out. If you are a gambler, a bettor, a fantasy person, there's nobody better in the nation than Dan Neely. I am not just saying that because I know him. I'm saying that because I would trust nobody else more than him. NFL DFS Picks on X, formerly known as Twitter. Ryan, we have about 6 minutes left. It's my least favorite part of the show because the show's winding down. But we do have the brownies.
Brian, and also there's 6 minutes left, and I have not ruined the show yet. So
yes, if you would have tuned in the first segment at the 4 o'clock hour, I had this dream last night that Ryan sabotaged the show. For some reason, we weren't in the studio. It was outside, like it was like some punk rock concert at my grandmother's driveway, and Ryan sabotaged the show. And, he hung up on Skapatak. He hung up on Dan. He muted my microphone. And he was just a meanie. I don't know what his problem was. Do you have an explanation, Ryan?
I don't. I don't recall doing that in my dream. So maybe you're just insane as we thought, and it's all good.
Who knows if it was even you though? Like in my head, it was you, but it could have been.
Could have been your high school girlfriend in a dream. You know?
I don't. Nightmares. Anyway. Ooh, we have a caller. Nice. I hope there's a good call here because what I want to talk about these final few minutes is maybe the predictions we're going to have for the Browns and the Steelers tomorrow night. We are, about 26 hours away from the start. And so, the Browns stink. We've traditionally owned them other than the playoff game where they beat us. What was it? The snap that we had? What was the quarterback or the center that we had that snapped the ball over Ben's head to start that Browns game? Pouncey.
Yeah, Pouncey.
But I recall... I don't even know, and I know every Steeler. I know all the practice squad guys, right? And that game against the Browns in the playoffs, I couldn't name like 7 of our guys on defense. Like everybody was hurt. That was the 11-0 season, and we had TJ Watt and nobody else, I think, on defense.
What a strange year that was, huh? What 11-0. Then our receivers forget how to catch entirely through the rest of the season.
Ben never threw the ball past the sticks.
Yeah.
It was definitely a strange year. We're like just mowing everybody down 11-0. And I'm like, this team's like a house of cards.
Right.
And then everybody on defense got hurt.
Yes. Was that 2020?
I don't know.
It felt making things that felt like 2020, but it might have been.
I think that was 2020 because didn't Pouncey cry and Ben came back the next season and we lost again with Ben to who did we lose to?
It might have been 2019 because Kenny's first year was 21, I think, wasn't it?
Because Rudolph lost. Okay, Mason Rudolph lost to the Bills.
Maybe 22. Maybe you're right.
Ben lost to whom and whom? It was the Browns and somebody else. But then we came back the next year and lost to somebody else.
Yeah.
Who the heck was it? We lost to the Jaguars before that. We beat the Chiefs. The last time we played, I want to say Patrick Mahomes was a rookie, and we played against Alex Smith.
And
that was our last playoff win.
I think it was. I think it was the KC loss after that. It was TJ Watt picked up a fumble and ran it all the way, and that was our first and only touchdown for the first half of the game. They beat us pretty bad.
Yeah, he has in all of the playoffs that he's been in, he has 1 sack. Just in case anybody was wondering.
But that particular game, though, I think that's the one that it was. I think it was a KC loss.
No. We beat KC.
Prior to that, we beat KC. The last time we played them, we lost.
Yes. Okay. Yes. We lost to the Bills. We lost to Kansas City. We lost to Cleveland. And we lost to Jacksonville.
That sounds
Prior
right.
to that, we beat Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that was Watt's rookie. No, it was before it. Watt and Mahomes were drafted in the same. I don't know. I know TJ Watt was not on the team so it must have been the 2017 playoffs that he was drafted in 2017.
It sure feels like it's been quite some time since we beat that Alex Smith team.
Like it was 1872.
Hey, right.
You know, back in my day, Sonny, we used to win playoff games. So why don't we make a prediction here?
Yeah.
I mean, are you making a prediction on your show tomorrow? Do you want to wait?
For the game tomorrow?
For the game tomorrow.
I think that we're going to win. To have a score, I'll probably think of that in the meantime.
Ryan's going to wait till the show tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. It'd probably be, they start at 11 a.m. sharp. every Monday through Friday on the Two Dumb Yinzers. So it'll probably start about 11:15, 11:20.
I'm thinking about it though. I don't have a prediction for a score in my head. I don't have it yet.
I think the Steelers go up there and just blow them out. I think they just forget all the numbers, forget everything. I think the Steelers win by like 20.
Okay. I hope you're right.
Well, me too.
Because here's the thing, you would love to get a win like that out of this Cleveland Browns game. Again, there are people all over the place who are saying this feels like a trap game, and I don't disagree with them.
I just don't think there's divisional trap games.
I think if the Steelers could go in and win and do their thing and impose their will and have no questions asked, I think that's best case scenario, and I kind of think that's what they're going to do.
If we don't turn the ball over, I think we win by at least 10. I'm thinking maybe 20 because we might get some late score or something. Yeah. All right, well, why don't we call this quits here? I want to thank everybody that came on the show. First off, I want to thank St. Barnabas. I want to thank Frank Sparks. I want to thank everybody here at Beaver County Radio for allowing me to do this show every Wednesday. I do appreciate that. I want to thank Dan Neely for coming on today for a half an hour. Check him out on NFL DFS Picks on X, and Jay Skapatak. Check out Scap Attack on YouTube. He is the best there. I'm Brian Pasquale. That's Ryan Garazunas. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll see you back here in 166 hours.
The views and opinions expressed on and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
You're listening to